but some were stronger than others. Some flourished and grew. Some were lame, ready to be culled, and others, on the cusp of greatness, were ready to be consumed. Licking his lips at the thought of feasting on the delicious treats that surrounded him, Kai moved towards his chair. The others moved out of the way without being asked. Halfway down the table, someone blocked his path, refusing to step aside. Looking up, he saw that it was Elwë. Unlike most of his brethren, the lord of the First People was inscrutable. Even now, as Elwë stood in the room with everyone, part of his attention remained elsewhere, focused on distant events. His face was turned away from Kai, and most of his features were in shadow, partially hidden by a headscarf. The faded tattoos on his black skin were so ancient that even Kai didn't recognize the symbols. Powerful and mysterious was never a good combination. He skirted around the old pilgrim, nodded politely to Summer and Winter, and then sat down. Towards the head of the table, the old sailor Nethan took his seat. Everyone else took that as a cue to cut short their conversations and get comfortable. Normally quick to smile, Nethan's expression was as grim as those around him. The Blessed Mother seemed troubled and Vargas distracted, suggesting that both of them were privy to whatever was about to be said. Kai maintained his air of ignorance, waiting to be told while working hard to keep the smile off his face. "As you've noticed, a few of our number are absent," said Nethan, wasting no time on preamble. "But Akosh has not passed beyond the veil. She has ignored several summonses, and, as we agreed, Vargas was tasked with finding out why."
"She's been dabbling in the affairs of mortals,"
said Vargas, drawing gasps of surprise from several around the table. Kai shook his head in disappointment, biting his bottom lip to crush the mirth rising up inside.
"Recently she was seen in Hachette, the capital city of Zikoria. Aren't you in the north at the moment?"
It took Kai a few seconds to realize the question was directed at him. As all eyes at the table turned his way, the half-smile slid off his face. Lying and deception were second nature to him, but sometimes the truth, or at least a version of it, was better. It was also easier to remember under scrutiny.
"I am in Hachette at the moment. There was a huge disturbance last night," he offered.
Vargas continued to stare at him with an unreadable expression. Despite the help Vargas had given him in the past, Kai knew better than to trust his dear old friend. Vargas would try to snuff him out if he found out even a little of what he'd been doing over the last few years. Kai had promised to play by the rules, to be a good sheep, but he was fundamentally different from all of those around him. They all knew it on some level. They felt it deep down. It was why he unsettled them so much. In this place, everyone wore a mask of flesh, but few had the bravery to look upon his true visage, stripped of all illusion. He belonged to another era that everyone wanted to forget.
"Akosh was partially responsible for what happened at the Red Tower,"
Vargas said eventually, breaking the uncomfortable silence.
"One of the mages who survived found out that she was to blame. I'm told it was this mage who attacked Akosh last night, seeking vengeance for a murdered family. Their battle collapsed one building and several people died. Akosh fled the area and has not been spotted since. You told me she wasn't in the north."
Another arrow hurtling through the air towards him. Vargas definitely had a boil that needed lancing, and it seemed as if Kai was the pus-filled target. One of the reasons Akosh had remained hidden for so long was that he'd misdirected Vargas away from Zikoria, and the capital city in particular. Her plans had been developing nicely, which he'd permitted to continue, but now that would have to change.
"She wasn't at the time. Perhaps she recently arrived in Zikoria," he suggested.
But Vargas didn't seem convinced. Kai couldn't tell if his old friend was angry because